In 2024, I made 366 icons, one for each day. In 2025, I did not. I made 17 icons. You can learn all about DaaDuuDay and why I made the original 366 icons in my Story of DaaDuuDay video. It's not required to watch this video, but I will be speaking as if you're familiar with my whole shtick this whole video, so it's up to you. First, I'm going to talk about all of this year's icons, and then I'm going to talk about the future of DaaDuuDay. On May 8th, I made icon 367, Brick Ogre, which I'm not really that proud of. I don't really remember why I made an icon that day. I guess I just felt like it. Icon 368 was started on May 17th, but I wasn't finished until May 24th, and that was Microwaved Leftover Lasagna. It's an abstract metaphor and the only icon so far to feature full words or phrases. Icon 369 happened months later on September 27th. I had a dream that I had a dinosaur daughter, and I just had to turn her into an icon. Her name is Lucille, or Lucy for short. Another break in icons happened until November when I decided I wanted to start getting better at gradient meshes, which resulted in the Gradient Gauntlet. 370, Apple, was my first attempt, and it sucks because I didn't know what I was doing. 371, Go is a lot better, but I still didn't know what I was doing. 372 was Mount Mashta, a mashed potato volcano with turkey gravy in honor of Thanksgiving. This is the first icon I used Adobe Fresco on, and it helped a lot. Because it was for a holiday, I decided to break the rule I'd used for all 371 previous icons and upload it immediately after it was finished. That was a pretty big shift, but I'm glad I made the change. Before the next icon, I made a new logo for Fandom Friday icons, but I only got to use it twice. Once for 373 Lava Bubble, and while I still wasn't too proficient at gradient meshes, I really like how this one turned out. 374 was Mystic Orb. 375 was 3-Minute Tree, and I hate it. 376 was Generica, which was a test run for why I was doing the Gradient Gauntlet in the first place. More on that in a bit, but the test was mostly successful. 377 was Sugar Cookie, and it was fine. 378 Hamster Balloon was the first icon I made using Affinity instead of Adobe Illustrator. It was a lot easier than I thought, and I thought I preferred how gradient meshes worked on Affinity, but then 379 happened, Wig Mannequin, which was awful. Making it on Affinity did not go well at all, and I learned Illustrator is indeed much better for gradient meshes. This is probably my least favorite icon from the year. It's worse than 3-Minute Tree. 380 was a little break from gradients to make a Fandom Friday icon I'd been wanting to make for months. So when I watched Inside Out 2 for the first time, my sister's husband noted how anxiety looks like Fregley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and so I just had to make this. 381 was Boomerang, and I realized I was starting to lose steam. It's fine. 382, Apple II, originally the final icon I made this year. To show how far I'd come in the Gradient Gauntlet, I decided to do another Apple, and it was a great success. 383, New Year's Eve. I had time, so I thought I might as well make one final icon. She's shrugging because her name doesn't make any sense. What, is her job making sure each year progresses to the next? Yeah, they do that on their own. That's all of the icons I made this year, because after I finished the Gradient Gauntlet, I took a big break to work on personal projects, aka my Christmas gifts for my family this year. The reason I wanted to get better at gradients was because I planned on making refrigerator magnets with art of everybody's faces on them, very similar to how Generica looks. But as I procrastinated on making those magnet designs, something hit me. If I know what size I'm making the magnets, I don't have to make vector art at all. When I started DaaDuuDay in 2024, I did vector art because it's something I struggled with. But I'm good enough at making vectors now that I don't have to do that anymore. There are two main types of image format. Raster graphics are made up of pixels, and vector graphics are made up of line segments and curves. If you make a raster image bigger, you'll notice all the pixels it's made up of. But vectors are a bunch of lines, so you can make it bigger or smaller without any loss of detail. When I was thinking about my magnet art, I was worried that maybe the gradients wouldn't print very well. The solution I came up with would be to export them as raster graphics to ensure that... Wait a minute. If I'm gonna rasterize them anyway, why don't I just make them raster art to begin with? So in the end, I didn't use vector art at all for my Christmas presents, so the Gradient Gauntlet was kinda pointless. And since I knew the size I needed to make the magnets, I didn't have to worry about them becoming pixelated because they'd already be the right size. And that brings me to the future of DaaDuuDay. I'm not going to restrict myself to vector art anymore. In fact, I might stop calling my art icons altogether. A lot of my art shouldn't really qualify as icons anyway, but I wanted to stay consistent. DaaDuuDay isn't going to be about icons anymore. It's just going to be a way for me to share artwork and experiments. I'm still going to do a lot of vector art, but I'll probably do raster art a lot more. And I'll probably do more stuff like the Gradient Gauntlet, where I work on a specific area I struggle with, like landscapes and backgrounds. I might not make YouTube shorts for each and every single piece of art, and I will probably record my process a lot less because I don't really care about showing how I made stuff, especially when it comes to the vector side of things, because it's basically just tracing. I'm also going to discontinue Suggestion Sunday. I will still do suggestions, but I'm going to change the way I handle them. I'm not sure how, though. I also considered discontinuing my Fandom Friday rule, but I fear that that would lead to me drawing Donkey Kong every single day, so I'll stick with it for a while. Finally, since I'm not going to restrict myself to icons, I'm considering dropping the Icon ID system that I began this year. I thought about keeping it around and just renaming it to an Art ID system, but I think it's just too complicated. I'm still unsure about this change, but we'll see. On the program side, a lot of my art will probably be made in Affinity instead of Photoshop or Illustrator. My goal is to wean myself off of Adobe entirely by the time my Creative Cloud subscription ends in September, so I gotta get myself used to all the programs I'm gonna switch to. There's gonna be a lot of stuff I have to adjust for, but it'll be great to know that I don't have to pay for subscriptions anymore. I got Affinity this year because they made it free, but I also discovered Adobe Fresco, which is also free, so I will continue to learn that as well. Wowee, that was a lot of boring explanations. In last year's video, I got a little personal at the end, so let's get personal again now. I started 2024 probably the happiest and most optimistic I've ever been. 2023 is when I learned to be happy, and late 2023 to late 2024 was probably the best period of my life. And I think I can attribute my Icon Challenge's success specifically to that fact. It was that optimism that led me through and motivated me to make all those icons. But if I tried to do that again in 2025, I would have failed spectacularly. I don't even really remember much about the end of 2024 because my emotional state started to crumble pretty hard. And 2025 has been nothing but a downward spiral of depression that has only gotten worse and worse as time progressed. I think the only reason I was able to finish 2024's icons at all was because of the momentum from the rest of the year pushing me to finish what I started. 2025 is a huge blur, and I'm expecting 2026 to be a blur as well, potentially even more so. It's kinda crazy to look back at 2024 and realize I actually made an icon every single day of the year. I don't think I could do that ever again. Anyway, that's why I didn't make many icons this year, although outside of icons, I made a few other art pieces for this channel. For Valentine's Day, I made some art of Hartley, and later I made a model sheet for Hartley as well, which I used as reference in my me-making video. I like the Valentine's art, but not the model sheet. I'll have to revisit it sometime soon. The me-making video was fine, but it was a lot more work than I thought, so I don't know when the next me-making video will be. Even though I didn't make too much stuff for DaaDuuDay this year, I did stay productive with my other YouTube channel. Yeah, that's right, I have another channel. DaaDuuDay has a very general theming, but I also have DaaNintenDude, which is obviously Nintendo focused, so you might not like it if you don't care about Mario or Donkey Kong. But I thought I'd let you guys know anyway. And maybe sometime soon I'll reveal DaaDuuDay to fans of DaaNintenDude as well. Wow, this video wasn't very fun to make. It was mostly just explaining things, but 2025 is over. Here's this year's gingerbread house. Here's this year's New Year's art, and I'll see you guys sometime soon. Hip hip hooray, oh the DaaDuuDay. Oh yeah, there's a slideshow video for this year's icons, but it's only like 2 minutes long. Bada bing.